Gridiron off-season edition. A lot to get into tonight. We'll be with you for about 45 minutes to an hour, try to entertain you with some of the best NFL talk that we can provide with you here on Variety Sports Network. Be sure to subscribe there as well. Jimmy Pilato, how we doing, sir?
Oh, it's the summer. It's beautiful except for 90-degree heat all right off the bat. Like we went from 75 to 90 right in your face, dry heat. I don't care what anybody says. When you're standing on top of the sun at 5,000 feet elevation, it is damn hot. But other than that, I'm feeling good. It's always nice to get that little break out of the classroom.
Could not hear you more. Ours was Friday, that last day. Like we said, we have all the references in the world for get out of here, get out of our face. We've seen you. We've done the quota.
Jordan, are you gonna miss me? Yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you so much.
Yes, I'm gonna miss you. I'm running away. Jordan, how you doing, man? I've been a little while.
Hey, we're doing good over here, man. I will be joining your club this fall on the not missing the kids next summer. So you guys will have to school me up all season long on what to say and how to tell the kids to piss off. But professionally, I don't think I can do it the Marine Corps way. But I'm sure I'll soften up some. But we had some Go ahead.
Are you teaching high school?
Yes.
Okay. You can go a little bit more Full Metal Jacket than you would think.
Gym and health. So I'll definitely be throwing some dodgeball this year until somebody tells me I can't. But.
And I'm sure you'll be tested in some ways as well. that you'll be. How do I not use this Marine Corps skill I have? How do I contain this a little bit and not use it right?
How tall are you? I didn't know that. I didn't realize they stack shit that high.
It's as long as they don't eat any jelly donuts to my class, I think we'll be okay.
Any jelly donuts? We're gonna get that jelly donut out of you right now.
The new gym teacher said that we needed to have a sock party. I don't know what that means. He asked if I had a D-cell battery and a gym sock. And I just figured I should tell somebody.
Man.
Hey, I'm just gonna tell him to bring in 100 pennies. We're doing some math on the side there.
Oh man, yeah. Well, we just finished up school this weekend. Like you guys were in junior high. You just have some people that like to push the limit at the end of there. So always making administration work till the end. I appreciate it with the boys there. So, but I'm like, my goodness, help me out a little bit. Help me out, make my job a little easier. But it's
designed to make you stress. And you have the youngest kids. I'm surprised that they are as wild as they are, Darren. You should have the good ones.
I'll say this. I think most of them are pretty good if I look at it that way. We probably have a little strict discipline ways there with it too. But I feel like that's the way you got to handle things. But it's always fun. But it's just one of those things. And then you're like, I think the one thing as a teacher, it's the hardest thing as you go into it. Jimmy, you maybe get it too. Jordan, you're the same thing. You guys do it when you coach too. Is like you work with people throughout the year, right? You're trying to get them there, and then you just have moments. You got to remember, like where you're like, oh my gosh, they're just not picking it up, right? That type of deal. You're just not. And I don't mean in terms of playing on the field. I mean just in terms of like attitude, performance, all that stuff. And it's like, gosh, so frustrating because then you see it when they do have it at times, and they just can't balance it out.
Africa is not a country. It's not a country.
I always try to remind myself, 7th grade is a weird age, though. Junior high is a weird age. Like, nobody knows themselves at all at that age. You know what I mean? So I always have to remind myself, like,
you should spend the week in my classroom. They know who they are for like the next 30 minutes, and then it totally flips. That's the craziest thing about teaching middle school. I've heard this from a couple other teacher shows that I listen to. But like 7th grade is that year that you decide I'd like to argue with adults. So 7th grade teachers have to be able to argue, but it's weird because you like get sucked back into their, oh yeah, you know what? You're not very Sigma right now. You should skip your way out of my classroom, Braden. Jeez,
it is a weird age.
Leave me
alone. Are you having flashbacks, Jimmy? You okay?
He's all right. He's having set of military.
It's in Google Classroom. How are you not signed into the Google Classroom? It's the second to last week of school.
It's funny too because like I always felt like the school gets out earlier and earlier. I don't know about you guys. I always got out in like the middle of June. Like probably this next week is when I usually got out, and then I usually started probably like September. Like I always remember week 1, Labor Day, Now that's all messed up too because it's a Thursday game, but I remember that it'd be like that Sunday right before Labor Day NFL would start, and then you go back like on a Tuesday and stuff like that. That's how I remember it. So a little different schedule now as I'm getting through it, but kind of as like school for me, that's where football sits in with it. That was always the clock reminder. All right, like Labor Day, we're back to football here a little bit with that stuff. There's a few things that were going on around the NFL as well. Jefferson gets signed to that massive deal with the Vikings. You guys obviously are fans of the Bengals there, and we've talked about Jamar Chase and like kind of those things. We'll get into that a little bit here too, but we can still take this in many directions. But obviously, the big news I feel like since we've been on last, because I feel like it's like we can go a lot of different directions with it, is Jefferson finally signs that big deal. Because I think Jimmy, we were on before, and Joe, I believe you came on to the show as well last time. And we were talking about how when he signs, he's going to set up a lot of things market-wise for a lot of positions. And he ends up getting the $35 million guaranteed. That then it's going to set up these other receivers. But what do you think it means for, I guess, the Vikings overall? They drafted the QB out of Michigan, right? And they have Darnold there as well. Like, is Jefferson along with his? What's your just kind of initial thoughts, Jimmy, when you see like Jefferson get a huge contract like this?
It does a couple things because I think that 2 years ago the Vikings were the luckiest team in the league. Had the most amount of single-digit or single margin of victories in the NFL. And now last year, it all kind of came crashing down. Your quarterback gets hurt.
Yep.
When a team does this with a receiver, what's the common theme? Look at all of the top-paid receivers around the league, and it's guys that you don't know if that quarterback – nobody knows if J.J. McCarthy is going to be the franchise quarterback. Nobody knows if Sam Darnold is. So when you have a guy that you don't know is the guy, you normally overpay your receivers. Look at Miami. Tyreek Hill gets that massive deal because they want to make sure that Tua has somebody to throw to, and then they just threw a whole bunch of money at Waddle too. I think that's what it says more. If I'm a Vikings fan, I'm looking at this, and this is an admission of now I can't even remember the GM's name, but he came from the Broncos. But this is Kevin O'Connell. This is the GM saying, I'm not sure if J.J. McCarthy's going to do that well, but we might as well set him up with one of the best receiving threats and make sure that he's happy. Because we know that these receivers, if they aren't getting paid, then they're not going to be happy. Like, not to say that he doesn't deserve it, but he was hurt for a majority of last season. And you're going to give a guy that much guaranteed money who's been hurt and is not going to have a reliable guy at quarterback, at least until J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold figures it out. I think that it says more about where the organization is. And I think it actually says, we're maybe a little bit further away than we need to be. This is going to be our best opportunity to make sure our offense can actually score points.
What do you think there, Jordan? Jefferson gets that huge contract. Jimmy made some good points there. What do you make of that?
I mean, just kind of build off Jimmy's points. Jefferson is kind of the only real known household name for the Vikings right now. So they really couldn't let him slip through the cracks via trade or via free agency next year, or even kind of threaten a holdout, which it would stop all production of any kind of quarterback competition and elevating their level of play. So this was kind of the only move in my mind that the Vikings had, both for household name, media marketing, and quarterback development. So it just makes sense. You got to pay your best player, and right now Justin Jefferson on offense is the offense until further notice. Other guys might spark on and come on during the season, but right now he is kind of the franchise of the offense. So, kudos to the Vikings for getting it done. It's a huge amount of money. It resets the market. It'll be interesting to see where the dominoes fall for both the Dallas Cowboys and the Bengals. But what a good time to be a Vikings fan. You got to retain at least the household name and a guy you can move forward with.
I mean, do you guys feel like he's worth this type of contract? I mean, he's been there 4 years. I mean, his numbers kind of point that do you think he should be the highest paid receiver? Like, here's his stats, like just a few of them, right? Like, so last 4 years, first 3 years, right? He's all pro. He ends up getting over 1,400 yards first year, offensive rookie of the year, 1,600 the next year, 1,800 the following year, 2 seasons with over 100 receptions, 128, led the NFL with 1,800 yards the year before. And then you look at the touchdowns that he's got as well. 7, 10, 8, 5, and he produces obviously on the floor or on the field. And the one thing, like you said, is he might be the best bailout receiver. Like if the quarterback just lobs it up, like, you know what I mean? Like he has that kind of potential. I feel like that kind
Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Like he has the elevate. We'll get to him, but I feel like he's the one that where you lost.
Jamar Chase is better. There's
do you think that that's the way
dust
it is?
from the grass? Oh my goodness, what?
So do you think that he's not worth the highest paid contract then?
It's dependent on what team you play for. If he's on a team that has a better quarterback, he's not asking for this amount of money. That's what I'm trying to get at. He understands the situation, and the Vikings understand their situation. I think this deal started when they traded TJ Hawkinson away, where now they have no other threat on offense. And then also when Kirk got hurt last year, they're like, oh, well, we're not repaying. I'm not paying Kirk after he comes off an ACL. I mean, we already made him or Achilles. We already made him a very rich man. We don't need to do that again. Let's make sure that we take that money that was allocated for Kirk Cousins and TJ Hawkinson, and we're just putting it into our next best player. If they don't have Justin Jefferson on this team, we might as well throw out the Birmingham Birmingham Mustang Stallions that just made it to the UFL championship after winning today, because they have nothing outside of those. And I think Eckler's out there, and I love Eckler. But if Justin Jefferson is not on this Vikings team, they do not score more than 15 points a game next season.
So you guys, sounds like you both believe that this is a result of how bad the Vikings are in a sense with their quarterback situation, more so than maybe him being literally the best wide receiver that in the NFL.
I think it could be is it bad? Because at least as a Vikings fan, you know what you are. There's no smoke screen here. If you think this is a smoke screen, I just don't think that you understand what they're actually doing. There is no other. This is a very direct move. We have all of this money sitting around that we're no longer paying other guys that were here in the past. We need to make sure this guy stays. If he's not here, that's going to be a problem for us. I think that at least you know that they understand their downfalls. They know exactly what they need to do to get better. JJ McCarthy needs to get developed, and they need to be able to. I honestly don't know, because Minnesota is one of those weird teams that they've never had sustained success. So you can't tell them to go back to something that they've done well, because I don't know what that is.
Well, it'll be interesting how they fill out the rest of that roster. Like McCarthy will be such a big piece for them, obviously, this year. That was they took a little heat for that pick on that draft show we did. I remember that being a big part of that was his place with it. I mean, what do you guys make of like the other receivers now? Like I wrote down a few on this list. Now I know that Chase has a ways to go. CeeDee Lamb might be next. I just kind of wrote down I would say just a whole different kind of slew of names that might be up on the hill with it next. Where do you guys see is $35 million now? Is $30 million the mark? Like when Ayuk said he wants $30 million, I was like, wow, that seems pretty crazy. But now at let's say he has another good season, $30 million seems like that might be on the table for him. And like, where do you see Chase raising the bar and taking this, or CeeDee Lamb raising the bar and taking this above what Jefferson makes?
I'll let you go, Jordan. You've been talking about it a little bit more on your show.
Okay, absolutely. I think it kind of elevates it. I think, first of all, I think CeeDee Lamb is next, because he's going to kind of put Dallas in a corner. But I look at other names, Deebo Samuels and Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
San Francisco isn't in that category. They can pick one or the other and still kind of cap it under 30 million, I think, because they have more talent on the team. They are more talented as an offense and as an offensive package. Where, like we just kind of touched on, Minnesota was in desperate times, desperate measures. Gotta keep one guy on the team, where kind of other teams have some flexibilities. I think Cincinnati's in a different situation where we're gonna. I kind of touched on it on my show that I think the 5-year deal and maybe cap it at like 30 million or between 25 and 28 million, and put more on the guaranteed side, adding the extra year, moving kind of forward there. But hopefully Cincinnati figures it out. But I don't see like Deebo Samuels. I don't see it kind of going for him. Calvin Ridley, he's on his third team in 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't see him, reaching any kind of thing. Pittman Jr. just got inked, so I don't think he'll ask for an extension or hold out.
Like a couple good years, you're restructuring right up next to it again. Like these things. I think even Hill's on. I think I could say Hill would want to be on this list as well. Like Tyreek Hill stated, he wants to be the highest paid wide receiver in the league. Like
it won't be in Miami.
Yeah,
it won't be in Miami because Miami invested a lot into him, and Miami's actually been building an offense around him the last couple of seasons. So if Tyreek Hill wants to play the money game, he's going to find himself on money versus legacy, and we kind of touched on that a couple episodes ago. I think that's always been kind of Tyreek Hill's mindset. He's already got championship wins with Kansas City, so he'll probably just go get his bag where he can get it till the end of his career, because I don't think he's focused on legacy. Go ahead.
Can I ask you something back about Jamar Chase for a second? So, do you think he's the next guy then? You've seen him play. Do you think? I don't see the Bengals partially because maybe you guys have the quarterback, like you said. Is that what affects it, or do you think Chase would be stubborn enough in a sense and be like, nope, I want to be the highest paid guy, even though I have Burrow, I need to move on somewhere else? You get a feel.
I think Chase isn't going to ask to be the highest paid guy in the league, but I think Chase is going to get his bag. I think this is going to be the blueprint deal except for at least on a guaranteed side. I think that you look at the way that Minnesota did it, the guaranteed side is going to be the blueprint deal for the Chase deal moving forward.
I gotcha.
And I think the Bengals do have a history of paying receivers. We paid AJ Green. His contract was one of the highest at the time. We were able to ink both Chad Johnson and Hushmanzada together for a couple of years moving forward. But they're no stranger to paying their offensive weapons. The T. Higgins situation is kind of it's rough. It's kind of gory. I think he's going to get his bag somewhere else next year. I just don't think they value him the same they do as Chase. Chase has that relationship in college. Him and Joe Burrow are about as brotherly as brothers can be when it comes both in and out of the locker room. So I don't foresee Chase going anywhere, but I think he'll be more flexible with the team when it comes to having the biggest number. I don't think he's going to ask to be the highest paid player because, one, Cincinnati wins games versus where Minnesota's kind of in that struggling boat. They've been to the Super Bowl. They've been to AFC Championship games. Outside of last year, they still had a winning season, but no playoff appearance due to some health issues. But yeah, I don't foresee Jamar Chase asking to be the highest paid player, breaking the bank. He's going to break the bank. But I don't think he's going to be the highest paid player. I think that's going to be kind of in debt in Jerry world over with CeeDee Lamb.
Before we get to CD real quick, Jimmy, do you think because we talked about Chase, then I had Higgins on the list as well. They have both those guys though have the potential to be $30 million receivers. They both have if you're looking at that being set, do you think Higgins the on guy? Is he the one that's out? You think?
There's a big difference just in the type of receiver that they are. So I think that T. Higgins is maybe a little bit more enticing to a team that needs a red zone threat. I think of a team like maybe Denver that had the lowest percentage of touchdowns when you get inside the 10-yard line. That's a guy that T. Higgins, that's a team that he goes to, and you kind of replace that Tim Patrick element that they've lost. Jamar Chase, while he is still a great receiver, whether it's Joe Burrow at quarterback or not, I think the end of last season and everything that I've heard, I've said it, I don't have as much of a local feel, but I do listen to, it's called the Bengals Booth. It's with Dan Lapham, Dave Horde, and they interview a lot of the guys, and they just interviewed Jamar Chase, and it's like him and Joe are starting to mature and become professionals. They've always been friends, and they've been college buddies, and they were phenoms early in their career. Joe's on his second contract now. He's getting paid. Jamar has to understand you're not getting paid more than the guy that makes you the best receiver in the NFL. You had one game where you were over 150 yards without him last year, and you know where your bread gets buttered. So you're not making you're not going to put that in jeopardy. You know you have to take a little bit less with the guy that's here, but I do think it's probably not going to be it'll probably be the same year. He's not out. He's not going to go.
They're going to be able to pay both?
No, I mean, T's out. T's going to be here for another season. T's not going to get.
That's what I mean. But I mean, moving forward, that's what I'm trying to if I say long term, you're next contract, Higgins is going to eventually get paid.
Jamar is more important. I don't give a shit what T wants.
Well, I know, but if we're talking about what T wants, I don't see him on Cincinnati when he gets
paid. I think that he's gonna go to whatever team needs their big receiver / tight end. I know that T can't block, but that's what he is.
I think he's going to get paid by Tennessee next year. I think he's going to follow the offensive coordinator.
Callahan's just making Cincinnati Southeast over there.
He's over Callahan. What do you guys think of Lamb now? What do you think of his life? Do you think he's also getting the talk about second, third best wide receiver, next guy to get big money? Where do you kind of see him? Kind of go get some of his highlights up on the screen here. What do you guys kind of make make a big CD there being maybe next step on there with it. Do you trust that being the big contract, Jordan?
I'm going to make the big prediction and say Dak is out in the next 2 years. So I think CeeDee Lamb gets the highest paid wide receiver market in the league. We know Jerry Jones acts on emotion and not business, because that's just what Jerry World does. So I think Dallas goes all in and kind of molds the Vikings situation. I think Dallas is going to be a big question at quarterback in the next 2 seasons, especially since they haven't been able to take that next step with Dak Prescott, and they've already thrown money at him. So where do you start? Your receiving weapon. So I think CD gets the big bag, and a quarterback position kind of goes in jeopardy in Dallas.
Yeah, it's interesting when, like, if we got into a debate too about the moment, like top wide receivers, it's kind of an interesting thought, like where you're at with it right now. Like, I know Jefferson is the highest paid, and I think right now you can say, oh yeah, coming off that one, the last 2 years basically before last year where he got hurt, it's like, oh, he's the best. But there's a lot of guys that I feel like that could easily change this year. I feel like that top wide receiver list is, you'll have your Hill, you'll have your Jefferson, you'll have your Chase, but I feel like that could change quite a bit. That top 4, top 5, and then you have the bottom of the receivers, and you're like, well, there's a world where Ridley and Pittman and Smith, those guys could raise up too. So, like, I don't know. To me, it's a very fluid top 10 wide receiver entering the year.
Darren, who takes the next step this year? Is your kind of mention? Who, in your opinion, takes that center stage?
Does Ayuk count as that? I think he as that next.
Absolutely.
Guy, I feel like
he's the guy who's going to outshine Debo on that team.
I think he's ready to be. I feel like Debo's the guy out looking to the next year. Like kind of how you guys are talking about Higgins. I get that sense around here. Like Debo's maybe that next guy out because he does play that more physical receiver. I don't think the time his age meets up, they're going to want to pay him what the top receivers are going to want. He already got paid a couple of years ago, which I think the Niners felt at their heart that was the best deal you're probably going to get going forward. And then you have Ayuk, who's more your natural receiver in some regards, and Purdy seems to really have a good connection with them. I don't know. I just feel like that's the next guy that maybe could creep into that $30 million. And the Niners keep their guys a lot of times when they haven't signed him. So I kind of think he'll be kind of in that next kind of group that you're talking about, Jordan. He's kind of the first guy that jumps out to me right away with that stuff. I don't know. You guys got anybody else like that kind of on that list too that you would kind of think that maybe would be a receiver? I have down at the bottom here. I have some of the guys that they have the top 10 paid guys going here. Devontae Smith, who got paid recently. He's another guy that I think he could be a contract guy that gets up there again as well. And then you had St. Brown. Once he got paid, I was like, wow, this market's you know what I mean? Like he's a good receiver, but I don't know. Did you guys think that at all, or am I being disrespectful to St. Brown, like to say he's number 6 paid receiver or something like that? Does that seem high to you with them, or I don't know? Maybe we do critical.
That's the same situation we kind of talked about the whole time. Jared Goff isn't necessarily a quarterback that's going to take an average receiver and make him great. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, since he's been in the NFL, has just consistently. I wouldn't say I think he is top 10. I wouldn't say that he's always top 5, but he's a guy that was, when he came in, you would say he's top 25, and then the next year he came in, he was top 20. He's just continued to get better, and it's not just small increments. He's making big leaps and bounds. When the Lions needed something last year, they normally went to Amon-Ra St. Brown. When they didn't, ergo throwing it to your tackle after you've effed up however many 2-point conversion plays. And I'm literally sitting out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Cuba watching the game, and I'm like, what in the hell are we doing here? Damn, stop it. I want to see a fat guy score just as much as everybody. Trust me. If anybody wants to see a fat man touchdown, it's me, but just kick the goddamn field goal. That's all you needed to do. But yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown, just with that's a guy that I would keep around because A, your example in the locker room, B, he's always just going to continue to try and make himself better. He's not ever complacent. You can give that guy $10 million or $100 million and expect him to work just as hard as when he had $5 because he's one of those elite mindset guys. No,
he is. He really it'll be. I don't know. Those were some of the guys. I was looking at what's the guy for the Rams, the rookie this year, Puka
Nacua.
Yeah,
he kind of seems like the youngest guy, then the guy on the Texans, right, as well, like playing with Stroud. They signed.
Do you mean Collins or Dell? Because they just re-signed Nico Collins.
You talking about Tank?
Yeah, like he seems like if he stayed with Stroud, maybe he builds up to a big contract guy. Maybe not.
He's 145 pounds.
I think Stephon Diggs ruins that team, but that's another conversation for another.
Yeah,
oh my God, Jordan and I are on the same page. He's the locker room cancer.
So I'm looking at some lists here, and they have him as like the 9th best receiver in the league. Do you guys think he's still? They had him, and they had St. Brown 7. AJ Brown, we really haven't touched on. He got paid obviously when he went to the Eagles in that trade too. So I don't know. It's just an interesting wide receiver class, and then you got guys even lower like on this list as well. That they got some guys like Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle obviously got paid as well. Garrett Wilson. So like, it'll be curious if any of those guys can jump into the top 10. It always happens, but like I'm not really sure which one of those guys. It's just kind of it's an interesting list. A lot of it comes down to how the quarterbacks play, obviously, for those franchises this year as well. So it's funny, the receiver position. Will it come back down, you think, at any point in the market? Like, will it start to get too high where it's like, or is it such a pass-heavy league, these guys are going to continue to get rewarded, like, because that's just such a pass-heavy league now?
It's I know that the league is looking more towards passing, and it's probably I'm going to be a curmudgeon about it, and it's probably my bias from what I played, but the teams that win Super Bowls control the line of scrimmage, whether that's RPO game, because I'll say that the Chiefs don't necessarily run the ball, but they've been successful because they can run the ball if they need to, and their offensive line does the right things in the big moments. If you don't have an offensive line, and if you don't give them a little bit of help with your play calling, your scheme, everything like that, you can have. Look at the Bengals.
Yeah.
Look at the Bengals. Like, Jamar Chase is open, wide ass open, booty butt naked open, as Randy Moss liked to call it. And we couldn't get the ball off because we had nothing on our offensive line. It comes down to the guys up front. So you can pay all of these receivers. You can give all of these divas their high-priced contracts because Stephon Diggs is going to throw a hissy fit, and you're going to have more Antonio Browns going live on Instagram in the locker room because they're just so – I can't believe it. I score 5 touchdowns this season, and they won't pay me $30 million a year. What do they expect me to do? And
maybe we'll get another workout press conference like T.O. Maybe we'll get some crunches in a driveway.
Oh man,
some Drew Rosenhauser.
I thought that was going to be the height of the diva, and like I was wondering. I don't know how you felt about him, Jordan, but I hated Ocho Stinko by the end of it. I'm still struggling with him a little bit too. I was more of a Hushmanzada guy, anyways. But
I think when he got full of himself, and especially the one season he did play with Terrell Owens, I think it just wrecked him because they had the T.O. Ocho show, and it was just. It was ridiculous.
That wouldn't work.
It was ridiculous over here living in the Midwest at that time because you just
got away. James Harrison was with us too. That was like that
was the year that we had James Harrison the year before that. But yeah, it was that time frame. It was good.
Receivers, man, you gotta love them. You gotta love them.
But Darren, to answer your question on my end, I think the price is going to go down because. I look at the college level and how that's run as the NIL right now and the product that's coming out of college. I think you're eventually going to have so many receivers in the market that it's got to go down, right? I mean, theoretically, because you look at the talent.
We're getting to a point where you're going to have a surplus of talent. Like that's what you're saying, because there's going to be more guys that are paid $30 million than there are actually worth, and you're going to have to start offering discounts. So it's basic economics is what it comes back to. Voodoo, VOO economics.
That bubble is going to pop, Darren. I say in the next 3 years that bubble is going to pop because you look at the college level and how pass heavy college has become, and that they've kind of gone away from the run game and just kind of the things that we're used to as a Buckeye fan. You saw the power eye and you saw the Trussell era. And then we kind of saw that quarterback run option, and that's even it's not totally phasing out, but you're seeing a lot of shotgun right now in college. You're seeing a lot of just like let's try to go deep, let's run a fast paced no huddle offense, get the receivers going, and you look at guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out, and just a bunch of other names coming out next year. So the market's going to be oversaturated with talent, and I think that price is going to go down. Just kind of what Jimmy said. You can get the receiver the ball only if the blocker blocks. And I think that's the bubble that's going to go up in the next 3 to 4 years. I think you're going to see offensive linemen get outrageous prices because if you want a championship, it starts and ends in the trenches. And those are the guys that are going to get paid in the next 2 to 3 years because this receiver market is not going to last. It's a fantasy world right now. Everybody's, kind of marvelized with some of the talent we've had in the last 5 seasons, but the market's going to get saturated and the price is going to come back down.
The only thing I'd say, if I was arguing, would be like, I just don't see him throwing less. So, but
it's not going to happen that they're throwing less, but you're just going to be able to show like what does San Francisco do with everybody when their receiver gets hurt? It's Kyle Shanahan's system. It's Andy Reid's system with the Chiefs. The Chiefs won with nobody's at receiver last year.
So
that's the adjustment. You just get really cheap in your receiver room, but have a good enough scheme that it doesn't matter.
It'll be curious if there's any like duos that kind of like, because that was always kind of a fun debate growing up. Like,
how are you going to pay 2 receivers $30 million each and be able to? Because if we think about it, the team that is doing that right now, it's Philadelphia. Philadelphia's defensive backfield sucks. So you have all of this money in the receiver room, but it's a disease. Like you spread this disease in one part and then you don't realize what it does to the rest of your body. Like you're compensating so much with all of this money here that your DB room is dying. You have grandfathers and babies that are in that room. Like you either have 12-year vets or you have guys that are fresh off the UFL bus. So it's like it's unrealistic. This is not the NBA. We don't have that much money to spend, and duos don't really work out. It's too much of a team sport. There's a difference, and I think that's part of the fun about this time of year is because since we're watching the NBA and the NHL finals, we start to conflate the two with the NFL. But it's so different.
Yeah, no, I get you, and it's kind of a fun little debate. The receiver position is always a fun one to kind of discuss a little bit. And now with them, we're getting paid, and it's kind of like I said, I feel like it's a fluid spot. As I was thinking of receivers, I had this like play. I was like, this would be like the best way to score. Or if you were
Bob Sanders. Oh shit. Oh, that you know what that reminds me of?
What's that?
That damn play where I don't even know the defender that did it. Jordan, you know what I'm talking about. When we're playing the Broncos and the ball gets tipped and lands in Stokely's hands when he's just standing behind everybody. The Broncos beat us on the last play of the game. Gus Johnson is Stokely down the sidelines.
Yeah, that was the stupidest call from our defensive coordinator at the time. We called a zero blitz on what was by play clock standards the last play of the fucking game instead of playing the guys back. So the
DB went
zero blitz.
Hit it right
zero
up.
Blitz.
Did not get down, did not get out of bounds. He's on the sideline. He goes, oh, he's in Top Gun all of a sudden, playing with the boys.
Yeah, it was. That was the game that kept us out of playoff that year, Jimmy.
I got two more flashbacks as we make our way through the show here. And speaking of,
we got to fight.
Oh, the little hockey fight, Jimmy. Speaking of Madden. There was before I get to the cover talk here for a second. There's that used to be one of my favorite lines. Me and Tyler and my brother used to talk about when they would throw it, be like a Hail Mary at the end of the game. Just knock it down. Just knock it down. That's all you got to do. John would say, just knock it down with it. It looks like your guys' boy. That's the rumor. He's going to be on the cover. Is that what you're hearing too? You think it's?
God, I fucking hope not.
The Madden curse.
What else can he hurt, Jordan? I mean, I don't want to say it, but what else? What else can possibly be hurt at this point?
I mean, well, I mean, Burrow is healthy. His days off were purposely scheduled, but I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to be on the cover of Madden. I wouldn't want to be in the media right now.
I would rather be on the cover of that new NCAA game that's coming out. That's what I'd rather be on the cover of.
Do you believe the Madden curse?
We're getting a league together for that, right?
Well, it depends on what we all play on, and unfortunately nowadays I'm the Sony guy, and that's rarer and rarer. So,
I got kids, Jimmy, so we play on both.
It's funny that curse thing because I felt like it was real for a long time, and if you kind of look at it, back at it, like He was like what started.
Wasn't it Mahomes that broke it because he was on the cover and then didn't they win or something?
It took a long.
I think somebody
time.
broke it though.
I just remember like it was 2000. Barry Sanders, he retires. George, he gets hurt the following year. Culpepper gets hurt.
Sean Alexander.
Falk got hurt. Vic got hurt. Ray Lewis.
Peyton Hillis.
Peyton Hillis breaks his neck. Like
yep. Peyton Hillis
was on there. McNabb was on the curse. Sean Alexander, Vince Young as well. Brett Favre when he went to the Jets, that was a bad one. You also had the probably the
Brett Favre on the Jets was on the cover. Did I miss that one?
Yeah.
Yep, he was on there. Calvin Johnson was fine. He was there. And then you had Peterson. He got hurt a couple times when he was on the cover.
ACLs.
Rob Gronkowski got hurt when he was on it. Everybody knows about the Antonio Brown situation. So I don't know. That's a lot of names when you make the cover. I don't know. Thank God the Raiders don't have to deal with that. No, I was kidding. I don't have to worry about a curse ever happening with them. Are you guys play Madden? Was that a big thing? You guys played it all growing up or anything like that, or no?
I mean, growing up, it was always the tradition at the beginning of football season because I now understand like the parenting that my parents did. They would take away my video games during the week and then use it as like if I do all my homework and get everything taken care of, I can play on the weekends. But that was like the thing at the beginning of the school year. I'll buy you the new Madden. That way you have the updated rosters. You have the new cover. Like I have when it was just the PS3, the PlayStation 3, it was like Madden 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, all the way up to whenever they did the 25th. And I was pissed because I was like, no, it should be next number, not 25, next number.
Make it happen.
It's fallen off. I'm not going to lie. I still, every now and then I'll get them, and I like that new story mode, but the stories get redundant at certain points.
I always liked the franchise. That was kind of, he had a buddy that you could do the franchise mode with or something like that.
I can only win 40 Super Bowls so many times, though. Like
exactly.
The Bengals are the most storied franchise of all time, and like every single Madden game that I've ever.
Well, they've won a lot. They've won a lot in your life over there. So we'll see if I think it's going to be. I think they're going to give it on June 11th. That's going to be when they reveal it. So we'll see what happens there with the cover.
See,
go ahead.
We almost made it a business because we incorporated the NCAA game. That's where my creative guy started, and then when you imported that character into Madden in the draft. Yeah. So we had to have the NCAA, had to play your years there, then go to Madden land and tear it up over in Madden. But it was.
What?
I forgot you could do
Before we move on from this too, because everybody will have one favorite Madden game. Anybody?
For me, it was the 04 Vic one. That one was like that was.
I did like 04. Was that when you still had to hit because remember how you used to have on pass plays you had to hit X to snap or A if you were a weirdo Microsoft guy, and then you had to hit A again or X to show you the receiver options, or the quarterback would just take off and run. I feel like 04 was the last year they did that. My favorite was 12, and it's A because Gus Johnson's the voice of it, but I made Permian, like the old school Odessa Permian with Mike Winchell, Chavez, Boobie Miles in the backfield, Chris Comer, it was legit stacked. Ivory Christian was the absolute enforcer of the defense. It's one of my all-time favorite summers was building that team in Madden 12 and then being able to just dominate and run roughshod over everybody.
That was the best part. It came out in the summer. Jordan, you play one in particular?
I would say either the 05 or the 06, back when the Chargers were loaded, because you either dumped it off to the tight end, or LT just ran it right up the fucking gut, and I would piss Doug off religiously with just those combinations.
That's the best when you have a game plan and your buddy's like, "Why are you playing with a game plan right now?" I was like, "Because you're getting pissed off and I'm winning." Like I played. Nico is not here to defend himself, so I probably shouldn't say anything. But you just brought up how you pissed your co-host off. So yes. Nico and I would play, and I would not run a pass play the entire game. And I was decent at picking holes. Like I could get you, and I was good on defense. So it was 0-0 normally, and then run. He never thought, he's going to throw a play-action pass Hail Mary to win it on the last play of the game. Every single time. It's like wash, rinse, repeat. Nico's like, I'm gonna blitz. Oh, thank you.
0 blitz.
See, there was like a glitch in 05 and 06 because I would just be able to screens would just upset everybody. I would do you execute the screenplay and just dump hitch routes all day long, just 5 or 6 yards, and just corners cannot stop it in that game.
My buddy had the Drew Bennett slants. That was always his thing. He killed me on Drew
Bennett.
Yeah. He was a Titans guy, so that was always his stuff. But it's funny you mentioned the charge of those stat teams. That was like one of the plays. I don't know if you remember this one. Is speaking of another receiver I had up on. It was that playoff game between the Patriots and the Chargers, and the Chargers are up by 8 with 6 minutes left. And it looks like they're gonna go ahead here right even longer.
He's intercepted for the 3rd time. And the ball comes out.
Then Troy Brown makes that play where he pulls it back out, and that just always always epitomized to me those Chargers.
Those freaking Chargers teams were the #1 offense and #1 defense.
I know. So when he
Reset
mentioned that,
an all-time NFL record, and never did they lose in the AFC Championship, or was it always the divisional round?
They lost a couple times in the AFC Championship, but I feel that was that one fluke year they kind of made it. Remember where Rivers got hurt and he actually wasn't as good in playing that year. But then they lost. This was the first round. Well, it wasn't the first round. It was the divisional round. They lost a lot of times like that.
I remember Nate Kading.
I want to say, what was it, 05, Jimmy, that we had like the 3rd highest scoring game with the Chargers? I think it was a total like 75 points scored, and it was just like Chad Johnson and Houshmandzadeh were open all day. But the Bengals couldn't stop anybody with a quarter. Like it was just.
You guys had a game like that versus them 2 years ago. I feel like
we did. That was the point where the big stat that I remember CBS saying was these are the 2 teams in the NFL that have the most time ahead by 20 points and the most time behind by 20 points.
20 points.
And then all of a sudden, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert traded interceptions back and forth. I was like, wait a second, this is all starting to make sense.
Hey, they were right.
Maybe math does have a place in football.
They did go, but what do you guys think? News and notes here. I just have a couple stuff with it. You can, whatever. I had Stephon Diggs calls move to the Texans a breath of fresh air.
That's what the Grim Reaper wants you to think. He's the locker room Grim Reaper. Stephon Diggs will not last in that locker room more than.
Even with Stroud there.
No, I think he's gonna take Stroud in the wrong direction. Stroud was in a team where everybody was on board with the game plan. Everybody was on board with the message. You had a rookie head coach. You have a rookie GM. You had a rookie quarterback. You didn't have a lot of players that had been around the league that long, and
nobody thought their shit didn't stink.
Yeah, he's gonna. I think he's gonna wreck the locker room, man. I feel bad for CJ Stroud right now. I think that was a terrible move by the Texans.
So not a breath of fresh air. We feel like this could be a potential deadly.
No,
move.
Everywhere you go, it smells like shit.
That's not fresh air.
It must be you. It must be you.
How about Derek Carr believes the Saints are so far ahead of 2023 struggles? I was just little notes with it. These are some of the headlines I found.
Dennis Allen's still the head coach. Dennis Allen's still the head coach, right? And Derek Carr's the quarterback. Oh yeah,
he's still Derek Carr, Darren, and you know this.
It's 500. 500, buddy. That's where he's going to be. 500. What above?
He can't be 500 anymore.
Well,
so he's going to be 9-7 or 7-9. What is
he
it
this year? 8-9, right? That's where they were at 8-9. So every year, that's what's going to be. So it'll be interesting there. Then I read this interesting article I thought was kind of on the chain gang, and just like how much technology is like being now used in the NFL. They were saying, is this going to be like irrelevant at some point? Like, will they be irrelevant? Is it just going to be maybe somebody? Well, I think. But they were also pointing out it still actually is kind of important to have that like on field crew. You guys are more football. You guys have actually played, and you coach it. Where do you think Where do you think that? Do you think there's actually a world where this is moving into new technology? And goodbye, chain gang, Jordan. Do you think the chain gang is gone? No. Okay. Good.
No, outside fucking fantasy land. No, I think you can't get rid of the chain gang. It's an important part of the game. It's a stable. I think, technology is flawed. Technology can be hacked. It can be manipulated. You have to have, at the end of the day, you got to have people. And chain gangs aren't going anywhere. It'd be nice to kind of reinforce maybe the chain gang when they do make mistakes and have that technology backing to a certain degree. But technology to me is too flawed. Not seeing a chain gang in an NFL football game, I think it would be kind of the end of the NFL. It wouldn't be the NFL anymore. It'd be something else. Maybe the sarcastic league from South Park, but it just I don't think it's going anywhere.
I can see it like like we joke about like how in baseball they go to like tennis. Tennis has the replay where they kind of show it right to the like. What do they go? Let's go to the replay. There's like a video game version of them falling past the first down line or something. Like that's how would they actually do it accurately? Like I don't know how they would do it. Jimmy, you think there's a world
now you're making me think of Paulie in that Rocky Balboa movie when they have the computer. It's the cartoon fight. You look at the. I just picture my dad in like 10 years. The cartoon guy said he got the first down. That's the computer said he got there. Okay, I don't know what you want me to say.
The yellow line changed a lot of things, though, man. That yellow line changed a lot. That was it was crazy to think that there's.
You guys want to know something? I don't remember a time before the yellow line.
I know it's crazy.
Or the blue line.
Everything.
Or the blue line.
The blue line. I forgot about that. How about the field goal line? Make it here. That's where we need to make it.
Oh yeah, the target line. The
target line. Those are always fun. So you guys still think it's going to exist?
And the scoreboard has always been on the television the entire game.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Watching The Last Dance really threw me off when they show his last finals game that he wins and Bob Costas is just sitting there silent and nobody's talking for 4.5 minutes. I was like, wow, 90s sports was awesome.
That's what about. You got to let the crowd speak for you, Jimmy. That was the philosophy back then. I heard you went to the bathroom. That's what was his break with it.
Bob is taking it. Bob, wake up! Wake up! There's 2 minutes left in the game.
Bob, hello. You get in the game right now. So what we got? June here. Still so many things to kind of get over as we can kind of go in so many different directions with the NFL, but it was kind of good to I felt like get back on the horse a little bit here and kind of talk a little bit about some of the things going on here before Jimmy starts to party it up in Vegas this weekend. Here he's on the NFL. Yeah, there you go. Cracker open #1 there. What kind of beer? What beer do you got there?
This is a Colorado Kolsch Ale from. It's a Steamworks Brewing Company out of Durango and Breckenridge. So mountain water. That's all you need to know. But this one, no, I here we go. Where's my Happy Gilmore camera? Nice, crisp, cold, refreshing. Best beer I've ever tasted. I drink 14 a day to help me stay strong.
I love that Subway, right? Talk about a whole Edwin. Can
I get one of those? Coming right up.
Yeah, exactly. No, that was fun, guys. No, good show with it. Jordan, you guys have been doing a good job on the Ohio show there. I catch you guys there as well. Jimmy, obviously, at far end of the bench, too. So I know we're all busy doing things this summer with it, but I'm glad we can get back on Talking the Gridiron. Maybe in a couple weeks here, when we get back on it a little bit of two, just kind of make our way through the summer doing it. So that was good, guys. What do you guys? Before we get out of here, is there at this time of the year, does the NFL still? I don't know. It's a weird. The NFL offseason means weird. There's layers to it. Are you really engaged on all the mini camp stuff, or do you are you kind of wait till? How do you look at all that kind of stuff? Is it just talk? I don't know. What do you guys make of that with it? What do you think, Jimmy?
No, I'm definitely not the right one to talk to. Nico kind of gets on my case a little bit. I like being goofy when we can be goofy. I like being goofy even when we're not supposed to be goofy. That's just fun to me. So summer, this time, I'll listen. If something weird wild happens, that's cool. It's cool. Not worrying about sports, not having a team in the finals. I got into the Drake and Kendrick beef, and I'm listening to rap music again. I'm watching the Hip Hop Evolution show on Netflix. Going back, I'm a history dork. I'm a social studies teacher. I don't know what anybody. Oh, by the way, I would like to make this is a first public announcement. I am officially a licensed teacher. I finished my alternative license program and was officially certified by the Colorado Board of Education. So now officially an initial teaching license.
What do they think?
2.5 years of work, 2.5 years to get this shit done. I did not realize how long it had been, but now I'm just enjoying being silly and listening to rap music and trying to figure out the history of where this beats and techno came from. We were watching Straight Outta Compton before I came downstairs because I get hyper fixated on shit, and that's what the summer's here for.
So what's your news source then to NFL wise? What obviously if you're gonna listen to a short What's your one kind of show?
Are we gonna name drop all the shows that they're all bigger than us? So I guess we can. Pardon my take. I listen to a lot because they're hilarious and they make me think a little bit differently. I do listen to the local sports station. They have a podcast, but they also release the radio show as a podcast. And that's kind of like Nico and I use it as like the national media. A lot of.
See, everybody hates the one I listen to. I feel like it's the one I think everybody thinks these guys are the biggest douches, but I don't know. I think it's because they're on like really early in the morning, like me.
What do you listen to?
4 a.m. Pro Football Talk. Chris Sims. I don't know what it is about. I think Mike Florio. A lot of those guys can't stand it, but the way they deliver the news, I'm like, at least they got stuff going throughout the summer that at least I can kind of like it. So that's kind of where I lean towards a little bit. I can't do the ESPN thing for me like that. Some of the it's just too much other stuff. So I just like that because they'll talk about like certain segments for like 25, and I just kind of like that hardcore. If I'm gonna listen to football talk, that's where I go for it because it's a little fluff with a little bit of the kind of like talk about the same guys. So Jordan, you got a spot? You go somewhere for your NFL news in the off season?
Jimmy kind of hit him earlier. We listen to Dave Lapham locally. He's on 104.7, 102.7 over here where I live. Always kind of giving
wizard.
The man is really knowledgeable, even in his age, where kind of football developed differently than when he played. But yeah, he's always kind of on it. The players love to talk to him, so every time he's kind of in the locker room for camp right now, they open up to him kind of individually. So he always kind of gets a better insight than national media people fucking coming down and try to wreck the locker room.
What's his name?
We've been. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was James Rapine. That guy ended up leaving, didn't he? That I didn't really like his opinions. Lap is a way better source. Yeah,
Lapham's was solid, and I always track. I don't track a lot of stuff. I kind of tune into the rookie when the rookies report. Just kind of, you always want to see what your top draft picks or what they're projected, what they're doing. Even kind of later picks like us picking Burton in the 3rd round, which is kind of considered a steal by a lot of media. So I've been tracking that. Joe Burrow's been working with him a lot, especially since Chase and T. Higgins weren't at involuntary OTAs. So Burton's been kind of the talk of the town recently in the last 2 weeks. So Dave Lapham's got to interview him a few times. So it's been it's been entertaining.
I feel like that's kind of like where I was like with the off season because you kind of have to stay up on them and like too much. I can't get into the nitty gritty of every little offensive guy there with it. So I feel like this is kind of an interesting time, but it's kind of a fun time to kind of do what we did tonight, which is kind of talk wide receivers, kind of maybe do some talk. I think it would be kind of fun if we did a redraft maybe of something like that. Instead of like kind of look back at like a big draft from 20 years ago or something like that.
Do we want to do the 2 years the Bengals were the number 1 overall pick?
Yeah, we could do that one. We can do those ones too. Am I
right? You know what? Achilles Smith is going to work out this time.
Jamarcus Russell, I believe in you. Jamarcus Russell, you can do it this time around. We got you. We got you with that.
You guys know the story about him with his playbook, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the blank tape.
Well, the blank tape, or they give you a playbook and they put $1,000 at the back of it to make sure it just open it, look through all the pages. You don't even have to read the goddamn thing. Just flip all of the damn pages, and you either get to pocket the money maybe or. But that's so dumb. Like, you're in the NFL and you didn't read your playbook? Really?
He's got arm talent. What arm talent? That was the key, though. Great arm
he can throw it 90 yards on his knees. He can also eat 14 double-doubles animal style from In-N-Out from his knees, too.
I laughed too hard on that. I'm sorry.
All right, that might be time. My guys at Let's Be Real say maybe that's the clock. Now we got to clock out. Jimmy's got to clock out.
No, don't give me the hook yet. I'm just getting started.
Hold on. Darren, last time we were on, you were going to mention what's your favorite summer movie? What's your go-to?
Well, if I go to a summer movie, on the spot right here with it. Woo!
You told me to pre-prep for this last time we left the air.
Yeah, well, we changed it up a little bit. Honestly, if I go summer, this is going to sound ridiculous. This would be a ridiculous one, but I always this is Air Force One. I know it's a stupid.
Get off my plane. That's classic.
You guys have such a higher respect for Harrison Ford than I do.
I remember like being like a teenager, like it was like kind of like with my buddy like 13. We kind of saw that movie in like July right around that time. So that's kind of always one of my like cheesy kind of go
No,
to. Yeah, so
I'm with you. He's Indiana Jones and he's Jack Ryan. Then he's the president. So yeah, I dig it.
I've been so that'd be one too. Back to the Future is always what I'm always like in the summer. So that's always one. But everybody does Christmas for that one, but for me, it's not Christmas. That's why I'm usually summer with that stuff.
Christmas, Back to the Future.
That's what I had. That's what some people say. It's on TNT. It used to be back in the day on that time there. I was with it. Jordan, we should do that the next time though. Stick with that.
I got one.
Yeah, who you got?
American Pie 2. When they go to the lake house in Lake Michigan, there's so many iconic moments.
Jimmy's showing his age.
I know.
I did watch that. My dad showed me that when I was 11 because I think he forgot that I was in the room when I watched the first one. He's like, "Well, you've seen the first one. You want to watch two?" I was like,
"You want to watch the Birds of the Bees?" Said, "This is the talk right here. You watch American."
I had a thing for girls named Nadia. I don't know why. That was.
Oh, I can tell you why.
Yeah, I tell you why.
That was also where I heard that different version of Smooth Criminal for the first time, and I was like, "Yeah, this is cool." And I'm a quote machine, and American Pie is just full of quotes. Stifler's Palace of Love, straight love.
That first one is a classic for me, though.
The first one, the second one, the third one, we went as a family to watch American Reunion when they had the big get together. There's a Johnson shot in the first 15 minutes of that one. That was awesome.
I just love the dance scene in American Wedding when he's at the game when
he's a maniac on the floor. If you would please teach me how to dance like you did at the gay club.
That's great.
Can I get a kumbaya for the Stiffmeister?
The Stiffmeister. No. What's the other? It's Doug when he did his top 5 movies. I had one of my comedy on there that I like too is Meet the Parents. That's always one.
Oh yes.
Robert, yeah, that's always Circle of Trust. He's got the brothers there smoking weed outside or something like that, and he's all over the other guy about stuff. And they got that cat, Mr. Jinx or whatever. So
oh my God! When he spray painted the cat, that was classic.
He flushed the toilet. Cats don't have opposable thumbs. Cats don't have opposable thumbs.
I got nipples, fucker. Can you milk me?
Can you milk me?
Yeah, that was.
See my summer movie is older. I go to Jaws just because it's based on a 4th of July weekend. It's got some good quotes. We got to get a bigger boat.
Gotta get a bit.
It's stuck in the water. The kids don't come out of the water.
I gotta watch that one again. It's been a while since are you Jaws 2 then, Jordan? Or are you done with Jaws 2? It's just Jaws.
Oh man, Jaws 2 is a guilty pleasure, but I won't go further than that. Like Jaws Revenge, Jaws 3, garbage. It was all garbage after that.
Jaws Revenge.
As much as I love Michael Caine, Jaws Revenge sucks.
Jaws Revenge. I just love the idea that
as a well-versed actor as myself, I could say that's a respectable take there. Because in my film history, if we're going to look back, it's probably better I was in the Dark Knight trilogy than in Jaws 2. I'll give you
he actually, if you look up his interviews, he was in debt at the time, and he just took it for a house payment. He said, "I just signed on to pay my house payment."
Yeah, it's funny. That's what you think when you see some of these guys. You're like, I remember that guy. How did he end up on Disney Plus? So
because Emilio Estevez needed more money, and they wanted to rebrand Mighty Ducks for a new generation. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because when you have kids, they have the younger ones, and you're like, so you start to see these guys that were on actors on kid shows as they get older. You're like, how the heck? You're like, that guy's the dad of the sitcom. You're like, what the heck? You're like, The Big Show. My kid's watching a show.
Yeah.
I'm like, what, The Big Show's the dad of a thing?
That one is wild. I was, like I said, we were watching Straight Outta Compton upstairs. That came out in 2015, boys.
Dude, jeez.
Straight Outta Compton was. Remember how big of a deal that was? And it was.
I saw it at the drive-in opening weekend. Yeah, that's damn. I feel old now. Thank you, Jimmy.
No, I felt old. I was a junior in high school. I'm about to have my 10-year high school reverse reunion, I guess. And I was like, that doesn't make me feel good.
I was on my second deployment. I feel old as hell now.
No. What football movie do you go to then the most? I always like Replacements. It's kind of like a go-to kind of funny one or something like that.
Any given Sunday, man.
Given Sunday.
It has so between the real players and Al Pacino just giving that. Yeah, I still play that clip to get my athletes pumped up. It's in my video package. Yeah, just when he's talking in the locker room, there are inches everywhere. And it still pumps me up. It just gets me going, man.
It's the weirdest speech to get you pumped up. Is I've lost everyone I pushed away everyone who's ever loved me. I pissed away all my money. Lately, I can't stand the face that I see in the mirror. Okay, coach.
That'd be a fun one to do football movies too. I mean, I think Remember the Titans always kind of up there for a lot.
Johnny
of
Be Good. There's people. There's so many slept on football. Unnecessary Roughness is another good one.
I like that one. Friday Night Lights is one that gets me motivated to go.
First one that I ever fucking bawled my eyes out to, like
Billy Bob Thornton's speech. Billy Bob Thornton's speech is actually part of a video package for the middle school that my oldest goes to before they come out to every game, and it's pretty cool. I dig it.
What's the comedy one with Adam Sandler? That one? What's that?
Oh, The Longest Yard.
Yeah, Longest Yard.
The Longest Yard or the Water Boy, because he's got two of them.
Yeah, that's right. He does have the Water Boy.
Paul,
too. Yeah, The Longest Yard's always funny to me because he has like kind of like was he a Bill Romanowski in there? Stone Cold
Michael Irvin.
Michael Irvin.
Nelly.
The original LT. And this is why we don't do drugs.
I forgot. Yeah.
That one, ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to my next point.
What?
Don't
do
crack.
And all the students are just like,
I was thinking about stealing LT's Lambo over there, and I figured see if you want to ride home. I like Vicky, and she likes me back.
Why can't I be quarterback? He throws the ball.
sit down.
I played at Kansas State. Are you shitting me for Coach Snyder? Kansas State prison.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good one. We got to make more of that. We'll make it more official, Jordan.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm gonna get us copyrighted for as many quotes as I fucking throw out here.
We should. We get some. We can see if I can get some a video of it too. That'd be great. All right, guys. Jimmy, you're off to Vegas tomorrow. Safe travels over there. Was it still stay up too late? No, I'm just kidding.
4 a.m. flight, baby.
4
Not 4 a.m. flight. 7 a.m. flight.
Jordan Maxon, that was fun as well, man. Hope everything's
Yes,
going good out in your world. So for Jimmy Pilato, I'm Darren Breyer, Jordan Maxon. We'll see you guys next time on Talkin the Gridiron. Peace.